Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Jenny Dildine, the LDS Mission Coach, and you are listening to the LDS Mission Podcast, episode number 117, Let Go of Control. I'm Jenny, the LDS Mission Coach, and whether you are preparing to serve a mission, currently serving, a returned missionary, or a missionary mama like me, I created this podcast just for you. Are you searching for epic confidence, ready to love yourself and to learn the how of doing hard things? Then let's go. I will help you step powerfully into your potential and never question your purpose again. It's time to embrace yourself, embrace your mission, embrace your life, and embrace what's next. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I can hear it in my voice actually a little bit that I'm getting over kind of a cold that I had over the weekend. And I thought I'd be able to wait till now to record and that my voice would be back because I kind of lost my voice there for a minute. But anyway, so I'm here. I'm still going to record, but I guess you have to deal with a little bit of a hoarse voice. There's so many fun things going on in the business right now. So many fun things going on in my family. I just got back from a really inspirational coaches sort of mastermind, which was amazing. I always just feel like fall, even though I sort of dread fall. And many of you are like, what? Like dying because you love fall so much. My husband's one of those people, and I actually don't have anything against fall. I just always know that fall is headed, then we're headed straight into winter. So, but that being said, I do feel like always for me, the last few years, that fall is a time of growth and change and transformation, not only for my business, but for me, personally. I'm just having so many more missionaries reach out, so many more moms reaching out. I just hired 6 coaches and the business is growing, and you guys should all know that my whole heart and soul is in this work of helping as many missionaries as possible. And I dare say that I might be one of the very few people that think about the missionaries every single day. It's how can we help them more? How can we get them more tools? What do they need to know? What do they need to hear? And of course, not only missionaries who are currently serving, but returned missionaries as well. I've had many people tell me, oh, they're not missionaries anymore. They don't need help. And I just totally disagree. I think the mission is presents a unique set of challenges. And so when we come home, we have another unique set of challenges, trying to figure out how to fit back into our new life. And that can be challenging, especially after we've been gone for 18 months or 2 years or 7 months or whatever it ends up being for you. Or if we've just been, on a service mission, it's still, there's some mindset stuff that has to shift. There's some confidence stuff that has to shift. We have to sort of shift the way that we see our day-to-day fulfillment, all of that good stuff. So I am here for all of it, and I'm happy you guys are here too. It is fun to record these for you every single week. And I just want to remind you that if you're interested in getting this podcast on a Google Drive for yourself or for your missionary, we just do that. We just send this podcast out. Missionaries are listening all over the world, and it is really helping so many of them. I get messages every day, and they don't get to put those on Apple Podcast reviews because they're missionaries. But so that does remind me, if you guys feel like this podcast has helped you or helped your missionary, or if it's impacted in you in some way, I would sure just appreciate a quick little review, a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It really does help us get the word out more for missionaries. I would just appreciate that. so very much. Now, on to today, what I wanted to talk about, which is this idea of let go of control. And when we learn, right, like you've probably learned all throughout this podcast, and I'll continue to keep talking about, is when we first learn that our thoughts create the feelings in our bodies, right? It's a literal like point A connects to point B. And then that little synapse connects in our brain. Bzz, I actually think of it like a cartoon sort of, maybe I've said this 100 times on the podcast, but I'm such a visual person. I literally picture it like a little cartoon, like when on the telephone wire, like a little zzz, like when that communication's going across the telephone wire. So that synapse connects in your brain, and then that little bzz sends emotion, vibrations, chemicals through your body and creates your feelings. Now, when my clients and the clients that we work with here in my program, when they first learn this, their next question is, okay, so now how do I control my thoughts? And they decide, oh, I know, if I don't want to feel emotion that doesn't feel good, all I got to do is now just control the way I think. And I hear that word a lot, like I got to control the way I think. I got to control the way I feel. And I want to make somewhat of an argument today for why I feel like that word control is not useful. And let's start here, okay? And you guys can agree with me or you don't have to agree with me. This is just kind of where I'm coming from and what I've seen with all of the clients that I've worked with. I've had thousands of sessions with preparing, currently serving, and returned missionaries. And also missionary moms, by the way. Also mission presidents that are out serving now, which is also super fun. But so you can agree or not agree, but I'm going to sort of see if we can make an argument for letting go of control. The first thing that I want us to sort of consider is that control is a mental construct that our brain makes up so that we feel safe in the world. Okay, so we like to tell ourselves that we have control, over what happens in the next 10 minutes, that we have control over what happens in the next 10 years, that we have control over our kids or control over, all kinds of things, all kinds of aspects of our lives. But what's actually true is this is just a mental sort of like idea or construct that our brain comes up with to make us feel safe in the world. Now, I think this is a good idea because we do want to feel safe in the world. Like one of the examples I like to think of is I have no idea, but a meteor could hit my house at any minute. But again, I also don't go around worrying and concerned that a meteor is going to hit my house every minute, right? So I think it's useful that our brain sort of like projects into the future what it thinks is going to happen and what we think we have control over. But the truth is, and September 11th was this week, and I've been watching all of those documentaries. I'm a huge documentary nut. Like if I need a little bit of a brain break, you can find me watching a documentary about anything, about anybody. I really like gathering all kinds of information. So this week, I've been watching documentaries on 9/11. And one of the things that very for sure comes to mind is those people that went into the trade towers that day thought they had control. And who knows what's going to happen, or those people that were on those flights, right? Now, I don't mean to say this to be dismal or to sound like none of us have control. But I think it's just good to know that because it is a mental construct that our brain makes up to make us feel safe in the world, which I think is a good thing, to make us feel good about ourselves, to make us feel safe in the world, which I think is a good thing. We also have the ability to let go of control when it serves us. And here's a couple of the places that I think it doesn't serve us to think of control is when it has to do with ourselves And by the way, when it has to do with other people, but we're mostly going to focus on ourselves today. So if we start to believe I can control my thoughts, okay, we can't sooner control our thoughts than we can control a wave that comes in and out from the ocean. Like our brain is constantly just scanning the environment, trying to make sense of what's going on, trying to problem solve, trying to prevent future problems, actually constantly trying to figure out what's wrong. What do I need to be aware of? So if a thought plops into your head, that's just going to happen sometimes. Remember, not only is our brain trying to solve problems, it's also trying to conserve energy and seek pleasure. So if you have a thought that pops into your head, we don't always have control over that. Okay? We always, of course, have some other things that I'm going to talk about in just a minute, and what I would like all of us to maybe start replacing the word control with instead. So give me just a second and we will totally get to what I suggest we use instead. But listen, we're human. We have a human brain. It functions the way that it functions. And I think that's a good thing. It is a good thing that it functions the way it does, but it has ebbs and flows. It has highs and lows. So if this is true that we don't have control over our thoughts, we also don't have control over our emotions. Okay. Sometimes that brain is so convincing. So you could go back and listen to a couple podcasts about this, like when your brain freaks out and your amazing brain. I talk about like your brain and why it's so amazing at what it does. But it will go ahead and it will offer you these thoughts. And then we have these emotions that quickly follow. It's been said we have as many as 10,000 thoughts a day, 40,000 thoughts a day. It kind of depends on which study you read. But we have a lot of thoughts, which also means we have a lot of feelings, okay? And it's not our job to control those. I say what our job is to become aware of those things and to witness them and to be with them. So the same way that we're going to have thoughts that we don't necessarily love that come into our brains, for me, that typically happens when I have something big coming up, when I have a big presentation, or I'm about to do some more hiring in my business or whatever. My brain's like, oh, offers me all these thoughts that I'm not good enough, that I can't do that, no one cares what you have to say. Like, it's just fascinating to me how the brain comes online and tries to shut me down in that way. But I can't, if I try to control that, it's like trying to control a bucking, like a bull, like if you're thinking of the rodeo, right? So instead, what we got to just get good at with our emotions and our thoughts is learning how to ride that, which actually that's a really pretty good analogy now that I think about it, is learning how to ride, stay on the bull, stay safe, or maybe get off of the bull, but still stay safe, and learn how to manage all of it, those highs and those lows. Here's the 3 reasons, and there's probably more that you could think of why I don't like using the word control. Control kind of denotes that there is something bad. So, right, that when we say I got to control my thoughts, I got to control my feelings, that denotes that there is bad thoughts and bad feelings. And what I'm here to say is there's no bad thoughts or bad feelings. There's just sentences in your brain that make you feel. Okay. And some of them feel good. Some of those feelings feel good and some of them don't feel as good, but they're all okay. And your brain actually thinks they're useful. The second reason why I don't like control is because it usually intensifies the situation. So maybe I've shared with you guys on here before, but I have a tendency, especially in my family, towards anxiety, towards feeling a lot of anxiety. And I've worked really hard to sort of manage that and figure it out. But a handful of times in my life, I have had a full-blown panic attack. So if this is news to you, this is me being vulnerable and sharing with you like that has happened to me in my life. And what I notice is when I start having those, you notice that anxiety and then it starts to escalate and escalate. And then when you start having thoughts like, I can't be anxious, or I shouldn't think like this, or I can't have a panic attack, that actually intensifies it and makes it stronger. Okay. And then the third reason, and I should follow up the rest of that by saying, instead, what I've learned to do is if I feel sort of like those feelings coming on, I just observe it, I watch it, I sort of surrender to it, I'm okay with it. And ironically, that is what helps sort of that panic start to dissipate rather than just trying to control it. Does that make sense? It's like trying to control a hurricane or an earthquake or something like that. Like that's my number 3 is it isn't always possible to control. It's just not. Sometimes your brain is going to be very convincing and have a lot of words to say to you, right? And sometimes we're going to have a lot of feelings. And I think I talked a couple weeks ago about that emotional wave, that we're just going to have to learn how to ride that emotional wave. So I actually met with a client this week on a call, and he was right in this spot. He's like, okay, I have the first 2 sessions. I now know that my thoughts create my feelings. Now tell me how to control my thoughts so that I don't have to feel the way I don't want to feel. And I'm like, listen, we'll get to all of that. You're going to be just fine, but let's not use the word control. So let me offer you guys a few more thoughts, a few more words that you can use instead. What I like to say is I have power over my thoughts and feelings. I have agency over my thoughts and feelings, and I have influence over my thoughts and feelings. So notice how this isn't giving my power away to anybody. The reason I love these so much is because they are about me. They are about the power that I have within if I choose, and if it feels like something I want to do, to surrender to being sad. I had a night like that. What night was it? I think it was Sunday night. I just literally cried. Like something kind of hard happened and I just cried and I just surrendered to it. There was no part of me that was like, I got to control myself. I was like, when I'm ready and if I want to, I have the power, I have the agency, and I have the influence to feel something else if I want to. And that night I didn't. Monday I was feeling a little bit better, but that night I didn't. But when I'm ready, I have the power, agency, and influence to change those thoughts and feelings if I want to and if I'm ready. Okay. A couple other words that come to mind that I'd like us to use instead of control. We could use the word surrender. We could use the word trust. We could use the word love. Okay? We could surrender to being human. We can trust that this thought or this feeling or this experience that we're going through is meant to transform us. Actually, crazy to think that when we go through these things, that they actually are designed to help us become more like our heavenly parents. They don't feel good when they're happening, but that is what they're designed to do. If we can just surrender to it, if we can trust the process and then love ourselves through it. And I talked about this a little bit last week's podcast about emotional resilience, like learning how to create your own safe space, not to control your thoughts and control your emotions, but surrender, trust, and love yourself. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple little tips here. It looks like I put down 4 about how we can add more surrender, more trust, more love into our experiences of these human thoughts that we're just going to have and these human emotions that of course are part of this earthly journey, right? Okay, the first thing I wrote is I'm going to acknowledge it. Okay, so if we're using, let's say, let's think of someone who maybe a returned missionary. Okay, let's talk about that. So let's say we have a returned missionary that just got home from their mission and they are having the thought, and maybe you've had this thought before too, is I've completely lost my purpose. And so then when you think that thought, the synapse connects in your brain, and then you're going to feel an emotion in your body, which is maybe unfulfilled. Okay. So the first thing is acknowledge it. Like, I notice I'm having the thought that I don't have a purpose. So notice this is completely different than just saying, I don't have a purpose. It's, I notice that I'm having the thought, I don't have a purpose. And then we say, I notice that I'm having the feeling of being unfulfilled. One of my favorite things about this acknowledging is it sort of gets you out of it a little bit. It's creating some awareness, some space, a little bit of space between you and the experience that you're having. Okay, number 2, after that, see if you can just be with it. And what this sounds like is, okay, I'm just going to sit here with this thought. Like, and observe it and just be with it. Or, okay, I'm just going to sit here with this feeling. Okay, I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you unfulfilled. I'm feeling you in your body. What does that feel like? Where are you? Number 3, be okay with it. This is so important, you guys, this step. It's okay that I'm thinking I don't have a purpose, right? That is just your brain. That is just a sentence your brain is trying to offer you to get you to do something or not do something. Totally fine that you have that sentence. It really is. One of the worst things we can do is write, I shouldn't be thinking that. I can't be thinking that. It's not okay for me to think that. No, be okay with the thought. Be okay with the feeling. So it sounds like this. It's okay that I'm thinking this thought. And it's okay that I'm feeling unfulfilled. It is, you guys. It's totally okay. All of your feelings, you guys, are 100% valid and okay. Okay? So be okay with it. And then step 4 is be empowered by it. So instead of being like, oh, I'm at the mercy of my mind or of my thoughts, you can say instead, I have an amazing mind that likes to offer me thoughts to keep me safe. Or I have an amazing body that offers me information through my feelings, and I'm strong enough to manage all of it. Doesn't that feel good to know that you are the creator of your experience with your own thoughts and feelings? So we don't have to control them, but we can have power, agency, and influence over them. We also can learn to surrender, trust, and love. Okay, I'll repeat those 4 steps just so you remember them. Acknowledge them. I notice I'm having. Be with it. I'm going to just sit here with. Be okay with it. It's okay that I'm thinking, or it's okay that I'm feeling. And number 4, be empowered by it. Isn't it amazing that my brain comes up with these thoughts to keep me safe and to help me grow? Isn't it amazing that I have this body, and Heavenly Father and our Heavenly Parents gave us these bodies to feel, to add depth and meaning and growth, and just like, I think of like that depth and grit to life. It'd be pretty boring if we only felt happy all the time. So I'll just share with you one other thing that kind of came to mind as I was preparing this podcast, which is, it's an old Carrie Underwood song. And I just think of like, instead of needing control over our thoughts and feelings, we can just surrender to it and let Jesus take the wheel. Remember her song? And she just says in the chorus, Jesus, take the wheel, take it from my hands, because I can't do this on my own. And I think that that's really valid, that sometimes we're going to need a little bit of help with, allowing these emotions and allowing these thoughts and surrendering to and trusting and loving. But I will also say that you do have the power within you. You do have agency over your thoughts and feelings, and you do have influence over. So maybe, just maybe, practice this week letting go of control. All right, my friends? Everyone, you guys, I'm sending you so much love. I love the work that I get to do here with you. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you have the most amazing week.
Serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints can present a unique set of challenges. And many of those challenges you might not even see coming. So you're going to want a unique set of solutions. It's easier than you think to overcome worry and anxiety, serve the successful mission you've always dreamed of, and navigate your post-mission experience with confidence. that is why I created some amazing free goodies that I'm sharing in my show notes. Maybe you'll want to grab the free training for preparing missionaries, my video course for RMs, or maybe you and I should hop on a free strategy call. If you're ready to take your preparedness to serve or your preparedness to come home to the next level, then go grab one of those freebies. And in the meantime, no matter which part of the mission experience you are involved in, just know that Jenny, the LDS mission coach, is thinking about you every single day.